which meant that you had to be careful that you had this on a decent table, because if you thump it, you can get a lot more noise than that out of it. On all of these, the top knob, and this is the same true back there, the top knob is always your gain, is how sensitive your mic is. That's as far as I can go before. Yes.
What do you call that? Remember?
Frequency.
Feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Basically, the signal is going straight out of the microphone into the, or straight out of the speaker into the microphone. And we've had trouble with musicals here when we've done that.
So when they do that, is the frequency higher or lower that creates that feedback?
That actually depends on the space you're in. Sound wave is a certain height or length. If you have, you'll notice the walls in here are not parallel. That's very, very deliberate. When they used to build rooms with parallel walls, no matter where you put those walls, presumably there's one sound wave that will come across and hit and will feed back on itself, which means that that note will be particularly live. So that tells you something about where the hot spot in a room is. There will also be certain frequencies that will cancel each other out. This is why you have an equalizer, because you can go back and notes that will cancel out in a room, you can push those up. You can take down notes that will feed back, that are very live. And it's probably one of the biggest nightmares you ever have to deal with sound equipment. Because eventually somebody will walk over with a microphone right next to the speaker and start howling. That's Electro Voice, which is still in business. They're fairly good. Ross is a nice company. Is that Yamaha?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is Tascam, I think.
By the way, you will notice there are cords going to these speakers from this particular board. Just as a note, it should. I am here. That's going out of the mains up here. But you'll notice I'm patching directly out of the board into a pair of speakers. There are 3 levels of signal. One is a microphone. I don't know if any of your parents have turntables at home and you have to plug them into the phono input on your stereo. Turntable cartridges and microphones are mic level signal. They're the weakest signal you can get. You normally have to punch it up a little bit. The next level is line level signal. And CD players, iPods, all of those are line level. These boards all put out at a line level, and then you go into an amp. The exception with this one is it has an amp in it. And the best way I can give you an example of that, if I plug this in back here, that thing is going to scream. If I do that, we're not hearing anything out of them. 1, 2. Oh, that's because I'm patched on the other way. You're not going to get anything because there's no power. It's only a line level signal. So you're not going to get any signal out of it back into the things you need a power amp. And while these boards don't have a power amp in them, this one does. Be ready to turn that switch off. Thank you. But on all of the boards, you have a gain, which is how sensitive the mic is. You have like a 3-channel EQ on that one. I think that one's got 3 channels. 3. I think the one back here has 5 or 6. You can actually adjust where you're changing the frequency on the one back there. The next knob is a monitor send or an effects send, and I believe that's correct. All right, that one has effects and then monitor, and then our auxiliary now. This has just monitor and effects. That's if you have, sometimes on guitars you have the little extra pedal, or you have like a little effects box. You can patch that in through the board so that your microphone goes to that effect. Most of that, there is what they call an insert, which is what the out in here is. That's where it's marked insert on that one. Is it marked at all? Yes, insert, I-out, in-out. And that's a way you could set up an effects box on an individual channel. You might do one effect for your guitars, you might do another one for somebody's voice. Usually you can set it up so that you can bypass the effects, so you can use it for just parts of a song or something like that. These are all daisy chained all the way through because it's a line level signal out all the way through. The board thinks the same level signal is just plugging a CD player in.
Can you explain the daisy chain, the concept of that?
Yeah, because each one of these boards has a line level signal out, it feels the same to the next board as a CD player or an iPod or anything like that. It's a line level signal. That's why this one is coming out and going into this channel on line level. So where's the mic? Just like I was adjusting the volume down there, I can take it out completely or put it in along with whatever channels I want. You would rarely have this many boards tapped together unless you had, I don't know, some rock festivals. Because
Right.
a band will have its own mixer.
Their own mixer.
And then you will just tap those channels in. But you might have other microphones for your MC, for playing incidental music in between the acts, things like that. But as you go along, the signal is the same strength. You're just adding more channels and more bits and pieces to it. That's essentially what a mix board really does. Is take several different sound sources and put them all into one source. This one does have a power amp built into it. Most of them will not. And part of that, I mean, this is good for a small rock and roll band going in somewhere it's a little bit more self-contained. The setup I use for lower school chapel and for some of the pep rallies, that's a mixer amp as well. I can just plug a speaker right into it and get something out of it.
So does our mixer that we have, does it have an amplifier, yes or no?
Back here?
No, the one for our music tech class.
Ah,
This is a student question now. This is actually on our test.
Yes.
All right, does it have an amplifier built into the mixer?
Yeah.
Or do I need a separate amplifier, hint,
Separate.
the black box that I brought in that borrowed from Harley? You need an amplifier to push the speakers. That's why we had to play our speakers that we made. We had to have the amplifier hooked up to that way we would have enough power to push the signal. And,
Yes, basically.
I mean, that's what we're looking at in layman's terms. We wouldn't have to explain all the why, the frequency of everything going through the system, but that's basically why we had to have that amplifier.
Yes.
Question. Let's just wait. Because if you go, I have to let everybody else go.
some of the boards, this one particular has its own equalizer set on it so that I can adjust for, that's kind of a flat response. But if I have, where is this? That first channel, if you pop that up just a little bit.
Fader?
Yeah. Go ahead and take channel 1 on there and on the fader. Down here. That's going to be your master fader. Yeah, try that first regular sub left. Oop. Yeah, wow, that's about as close as we're going to get. That's a very high note.
Bring it back down a little bit.
Actually, leave it just there. I'm trying to catch. All right, we'll take down the high notes. 1, 2. Still. Whoa. 1, 2. You see how I took that one, what is that, 4K? Higher up note out, and now I'm not getting, well, I'm getting a little bit. There's something else in there. But if you get a particularly low hum, you can use that to take out the note, and it gives you a little more room on your microphone. Because invariably, at least this is why you see rock and roll people, they will be what's called eating the microphone, and they'll get right up on top of it like that, because their voice is going to drown out anything else around them, including their own monitors. And I have